Hello YouTubers, we're back in the workshop again today, and this is the final part of the repairs to our International B275. If you've seen the previous videos, you'll know it wasn't running too well and we suspected a valve problem. We weren't disappointed, it was definitely a valve problem. We sent the head away, we've had all the valves and the seats reground, and now we're ready to reassemble. We also discovered that the injectors are in a bit of a state, so we've had them completely reconditioned as well. And since we were last with you, we've also been tractor shopping. You'll see later on in the video what we bought. Next job is to get it back up on the milling machine and get the valve springs back on. So reinstalling the valve springs is just simply the reverse of removing them. Just push it down on the drilling machine or the milling machine and slip the collets in. All the valves are now in, and I think before I fit this head to the tractor I'll put the reconditioned injectors in. Hopefully it'll run a bit better with these in. You'll have seen how bad the end of the old injectors were. I think these are officially reconditioned, but I think everything inside them is new. That looks a bit better, doesn't it? Just in case you're wondering, I have cleaned out the holes and blown them out with compressed air and made sure that the injectors are going to seat properly. Now we just need some nuts. I think I'd better give these a bit of a clean. So there we go, the injectors are in. I'm just snugging them up now. As long as I remember, I will pull them up again. Right, we've got a nice brand new top gasket set, so we'll just get the head gasket out. You can get these in fibre rather than copper, but I've never been very keen on fibre head gaskets, so we've got a copper one. So the first thing is to make sure that it is the right gasket and it's got all the holes in it, because on older vehicles it's not uncommon that they are slightly different. And if you miss a hole, it can be rather disastrous. Yeah, I think we're looking good. Right, next we need a cylinder head. What I could do with now is just a couple of head bolts. So now just keep everything in line so the gasket doesn't move. And we're on. Hopefully I won't be needing this again, but taking it off reminds me I haven't covered these holes up, look. and that's just an accident waiting to happen, so we'll do that now. That's a bit safer. Now we want the rest of the cylinder head bolts in their holes. It really doesn't make any difference, but the ones with the red paint on ideally should go on the outside. Right, just one missing. Where's that gone? It's that one, the middle rocker bolt. So the next job is to tighten down the cylinder head bolts, and you do these in sequence. If you've got a workshop manual, it'll tell you the sequence, but basically it's from the middle out in both directions, or some manuals will show you it in a spiral going outwards. The internet tells me 75 pounds-feet for this engine, and I'm not going to pull it up all in one go. I'll snug it down gently until I get to the point where the torque wrench tells me we're getting near the 75 pounds. So they're all down at a reasonable torque at the moment. One of the mistakes that I did make in the first place was I put the rockers on first because the central bolt is also needing torquing up, but then you can't get to these. So you do need to torque the cylinder head down before you fit the rockers. So there we go, all torqued up. I will give it a few minutes and then I'll go around it again because we'll just give the gasket time to settle a bit. So now we'll just put the rockers back on. The rocker shaft on these are designed to self-destruct just at the moment you think you've got it sorted. So just be careful. They come apart in the middle and all fall over everywhere. And if you watch me taking it off, you'll see. We're getting ready now to install the manifolds so we don't drop anything down inside the cylinder head. First thing we need to do is clean the seats, which these have already been done, but I'll just give them a final wipe and fit the gaskets. This is the exhaust manifold. There we go, find the nuts. So that's the exhaust manifold on. Next we want the inlet manifold. So we can pull these pieces of paper out, make sure the seats are nice and clean. 2 new gaskets. And there's the inlet manifold with the faces all nicely cleaned. So we'll drop this on here. And then hopefully we're all secure. The next job is to put the heaters back in. Now these are new, or relatively new, so I'm not going to change them. I think they'll be fine. So these heaters are the traditional type. So they're wired in series. You can buy heaters now that are wired in parallel. And the advantage to that is if you get one fail, it doesn't stop all the heaters working, so the tractor will still start. Whereas with this arrangement, if one of these heaters fails, then none of the heaters will work because the circuit will not be completed. So there's a strong argument for updating them, but you can still buy the old ones. And that's what we've got here, so that's what we're going to use. And the earth here for the heaters is connected to the bottom bolt of the flange where the water comes out the head. And we've got a nice new gasket for this. It goes on like that. The next job we'll do is to couple up the injection pipes. Now it goes without saying that you need to be very clinical with injection pipes because the injectors are very small, and if you get dirt in any of the fittings, you will have a problem. So we'll tighten the ones on the pump, but I won't bother tightening the ones on the injectors completely because we'll need to bleed the air out before we'll be able to get the engine to start. Hopefully we'll get away with just the ones at this end. And here go the other two. The biggest problem is remembering exactly how they went. Of course, that's made a lot easier when you're doing a video, because you can just go back and have a look if you really can't work it out. And that may well be what we have to do on this occasion. Oh, there we go. It goes between the throttle lever and the stop control. Even though I'm not going to tighten these right up, I will just run them up so they're very close so that I can then lock them off as soon as the diesel's there. Right, that's the injector pipes back on. Now we'll put the fuel filter back on. So the fuel filter bracket comes off the top of the rocker cover. But I'm not going to put the rocker cover on just yet because I'd really like to just turn the engine over before I set the tappets. So we're almost there with the fuel system. We just need to put the leak-off pipes on. So these are basically the drain from the injectors back to the fuel system. So this is the crankcase breather pipe. It goes that way around, that way up. It goes through here, under the filter bracket. Maybe over the filter bracket, that's better. And it goes on the inlet manifold up here. And into the front of the timing case down here. Now it's time to put the battery box back together and the air cleaner. And down here we've got the temperature sensor which goes in the top of the block. And it's quite important that this works, because that's how I knew I'd got a radiator problem. There we go. Right, it's time to decide whether or not we can get this new radiator to fit. Well, it goes in the hole and the pipe outlets are in the right place, so that's a big percentage that we've got right so far. I'll just put this top hose on just to hold the radiator from falling over whilst I try and fit the bolts in the bottom, which I'm sure will be a challenge. So we're getting into the diesel system now, and we've got a few leaks that I'm trying to resolve, mainly where the copper washers are. We've got a leak here, not too bad just here. These leak off points seem to want to leak. I have a feeling it's probably the pipe, because it's 60 years old at the end of the day. Whether I can replace it with some different hose, I don't know, but I'll investigate that a little bit further. And of course, we're changing the diesel filter. I've been chasing this leak for a long time and not able to find it. And where it was is down there, rubbing on this clip. What I'm going to do, I've brazed it up. I think you can just see the braze shining down there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of rubber in it to stop it doing it again. And it wasn't the first time somebody had repaired it, because it had chafed a little bit further round as well, and that had been brazed. I've already bled the filter. You can see the diesel leaking out of it. And I've just slackened off the injection pump. And I'll go around the other side and pump now. And you shout when the diesel comes out these two holes. Right, it's coming out the transfer. Right, so we're very close now to being able to just start the tractor and make sure it's going to run okay. And I did want to run it before I, if you're going to put a battery on, put it on the right way around. It's a positive earth tractor. But I did want to run it before I set the tappets, just to let everything settle down a little bit. So we'll put the battery on and we'll turn it over and see if we can bleed the injectors. So the injector pipes are slack. Just find a spanner, the right spanner for them. Got one injector there that is blowing diesel out. Another one here. Right, I think we're okay. We've got diesel out of 3 of them, so we'll put the heater on and we'll see if she'll run. We've also got a problem with the radiator cowling, which doesn't really surprise me. It doesn't fit properly, so I'm going to make a new one, and I'm going to make it to slip in from each side, so it'll just slide in here and it'll pick up on these bolts that we're missing anchorage points for. And here's the new radiator cowl, or at least the laser cuts for it, and we're just going to slip it in from each side. One bolt in the middle. There'll be a bit of angle line across the top for the top radiator support. And you can see the bend line etched on here with the laser, look. So I'm just going to bend it down that line, and the screws will go in the side of the radiator. Hopefully it's that simple. We'll see. I'll now bend it and see if it'll fit. So we're just going to bend down that line. So we'll slide it in the folder up to the line. Make sure we're in exactly the right place, and then bend it up 90 degrees. And there you have it. We'll just take it and try it before we bend the other one. And hopefully it'll just slip in there like that. Miss the fan blades, and 3 bolts up the side, job done. Drill a hole here to hold that filter bracket, and something to fit on the top of the radiator just there as well. A simple solution. And there you go, first trial fit, and I think we're looking good. Clears the fan, does the job. This stud's in exactly the right place, just needs something for this stud up the top here. And there you have it, the completed article. So it's picking up on the missing bolt at the top of the radiator, and it's picking up on this one on the side here on the filter, and it's made out of 2 pieces that just slide in from each side, and then a piece of angle iron across the top. Couldn't be much simpler really. So we're nearly there. Just need to take that apart and get it painted, and just work on a few more diesel leaks, probably pressure wash it down so we can see exactly where the problems are coming from. I think I've fixed the one that was just here. Look, that's nice and dry now.
And there she is, finally completed. I hope you'll agree that the exhaust note's just a little bit sweeter than it was before. At the beginning of the video, I promised to show you the latest tractor we purchased. Here it is, an International 634. We had one of these come new in 1968, and it was the main workhorse on the farm for many years, so I thought it'd be nice to have one back in the yard. We should have it out and about soon, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you some more video, but if you're at some of the UK shows, keep an eye out for us. That's all for this week. Thanks for watching. See you again very soon with another video.